we're going to move on, and I think this is the thing that you're going to be maybe most interested in. We don't talk about mixed martial arts very much on the show for reasons. It's a pro wrestling show, but I keep up with the news with UFC and such as well. And Dutch is a big sports fan, and he will know as well as I will know that when there's betting in sports, there's cheating in sports. Now, Isaac...
Wait, that's not my word, ladies and gentlemen. That's James's word. Cheating. Got to watch that.
No way. Oh, well, there's fixing in this case, I suppose.
Yes, fixing is better.
So this is from a UFC event this past weekend. It was on the undercard. It wasn't like a big deal or anything like that. So it was Isaac Dulgarian versus Yadir Del Valle, or Val or Vale, or however you pronounce his name. It doesn't matter. The UFC is taking allegations of fight fixing very seriously, quote, after controversy surrounding a Las Vegas bout this past weekend. Featherweight Isaac Dulgarian was axed from Dana White's roster just one day after suffering a defeat at UFC Vegas 110 on Saturday night. So, did you watch the fight? I sent it to you. Did you have time to watch it?
I don't watch that fake stuff.
That's fine. I will tell you what happened. Right, so the fight has been at the epicenter of a betting scandal. And it's not just the fight itself, but there's loads of stuff around it that makes it really fishy. Dulgarian's odds of beating Deval crashed hours before he entered the cage, although Helwani, this is Ariel Helwani, the MMA journalist, said the official reason for his release was the defeat. Anyway, Dulgarian, 29, entered as a clear favourite, but tapped out to a rear naked choke less than 4 minutes into the fight. Members of the MMA fraternity immediately picked up on Dulgarian's poor performance, as the American offered no real defence when Deval had him pinned to the ground. UFC analyst Michael Chiesa said Dulgarian, who is known as an elite grappler, fought like an amateur in a scathing review of his performance, adding that the fighter looked like he didn't even belong in the octagon. Just hours after the results, bookmakers William Hill and Caesars released the exact same statement, telling customers that losing bets on the fight will be refunded. Now, I know you've said it as a joke occasionally, and in seriousness as well, Dutch. I've got a lot more with this that I'll follow up with. But you've said before, when you're fixing a fight, especially in boxing or MMA or whatever it is, only one person needs to be in on it.
Yep. Only one, the loser. So if the guy went out there and he said he fought like an amateur, he didn't try. So he allowed that guy to get the hold on him and he tapped out. He had to have a reason to tap out. So hook your hold and I'll do it.
Yeah, he went for like
Which would raise his eyebrows. You can't see my eyebrows, but it raises eyebrows. Even if I saw it.
With
knowing nothing about even betting on the match, I'd say there's something up there.
There's even more up. So ahead of his defeat to Deval, Dulgarian said in an interview with MMA Junkie that there should be a clause in UFC contracts for fighters to get like 3 or 5% of bets placed on them. So he's, just before this fight, starts complaining about betting on the thing. Anyway, he says, quote, I said, don't bet on me unless you're paying me some percentage. I'm doing all the work. That's how I feel about it, Dulgarian said. If you're betting on me, I want some of it. Now, this isn't the first time that UFC have had allegations of match fixing. Early 2023, Jeff Molina was suspended from MMA after allegations that he was part of a betting scandal. And there's even been, even in the old tournament no rule or practically no rules days, there were allegations that a match or two were fixed as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's been going, you know how long that's been going on?
Since there was sport and betting.
Since there was gladiator days. And they invented it and it never went away.
That's true. In the gladiator days, it's like, because if it was a fight to the death, and it would be up to the audience, and I think the misnomer is it's actually thumbs in the middle actually meant what we mean as thumbs down. I can't remember which way it is. But there would be sparing of lives, or they'd be working out or cooperating with the fighters, sometimes, allegedly. So, yeah, I mean, match fixing, not even for money, but for lives, has been a thing for thousands of years.
It's been around, yes, for thousands of years. And it's a natural human trait to bet on something. That I think this guy's going to win. Well, I think he's going to win. Well, $5 says no. Okay, you're on. That's what it takes. It takes about 10 seconds to place a bet. So, and I've always thought See, I'm glad actually wrestling and people saying, "Oh, well, it's set up," but now it's a different sport, and you can tell stories in it and make a lot of money in it too at the same time, and you attract people that the real fights don't attract. But I'm thinking they would be stupid not to bet on some of their fights. I mean, if you know you can set this up and you know who's going to win, and place the money where the money is, and then you'll make a lot of money.
Can you tell me as well, because I've not read anything about this. I can imagine what it is. I've seen lots of documentaries. There's been so many news articles over the decades, match fixing in every sport, from snooker to tennis to cricket, bizarrely.
What? Snooker?
Yeah. Not
what
Jimmy Snooker.
That's what I thought you said.
No. Just like any sport there is out there, especially when there are like micro decisions. You know, like one little fumble here. Will he make this next ball into the pocket kind of thing? And you can bet on that. And then that's all somebody needs to know, to purposely miss one shot, and that's it. That's their role done. To make things worse, I'm going to bring it back to you. Sorry, Dutch.
But let me say this.
Yes.
The difference in that, if he misses the shot, well, nobody thinks nothing of it. You know why? Mm-hmm. It was a hard shot to begin with.
Exactly.
So for him, he missed it. Well, he just missed it. Nobody's going to think about it. But if you're an accomplished MMA fighter and you don't do your style, and all of a sudden you get tapped out in 4 minutes, something's up.
Yeah, he was defending like it was his first lesson in MMA, and he's meant to be an elite grappler. Like, there's no way he would get caught. One, he got his takedown stuffed quite easily, and then he basically reversed himself, or it looked like it did, and then got choked out. Anyway, what's the NBA betting scandal, and how does it kind of link up with this?
One guy said he did a text, and the text was revealed. He said, "I'm going to get hurt in the first quarter, and I'm going to go out, and I won't come back in for the rest of the game." Just for those of you who are gambling.
Was it a performance thing though? Said like it was like an over under on how many shots how many points he'd score in the game or something. So therefore he got hurt early.
I don't know what they were betting on. Probably that could have been thrown in there. They bet on everything. They bet on the number of points and how many times is this or fouls or whatever. Anything you can bet on in any kind of an athletic contest. You know, if you can get somebody to bet you, there's a bet to be had. So, but he went out there and said, "I'm gonna get hurt in the first quarter. I'm not coming back in the rest of the game." For those of you who are interested. Mm-hmm. So if you're placing a bet, don't place it on me. I think that guy has a lot of balls to say, "Hey, if you win any money on me, I want 3 to 5% of it." How would you know a bet would even be placed?
Yeah, I don't know how Las Vegas is going to get in touch with them.
Is that guy? I think he's an idiot. Tell you the truth.
Do you know that a lot of MMA fighters after, I can't remember, I didn't write the name of the guy down. I think he had over a dozen fights in the UFC. And he said that he was approached for like 7 of those fights about throwing said fight. And he turned them down every time.
Yes.
It is wide. I think it's so much more widespread than people know, because the vast majority, or at least the majority of people, say no. Probably the majority of people haven't been caught.
Well, majority of people have the fear that they will get caught. If you approach somebody, okay, you're a UFC fighter, you don't know me from Adam's house cat. I come up and I start talking to you, blah, blah, blah. Hey, listen, I'll pay you this if you're just let him ease over you a little bit. So you got to adjust your language a little bit like that. Or do you think, and if he agrees to it, but now he's guilty. The other guy's guilty for trying to set it up. You're guilty for accepting it. So, but anyway, I've often thought all these sports, I mean, these guys get rich, but they get rich on unsuspecting fans. But the bookers know what they're doing. The bookies know what they're doing. So, but it is illegal, and I think in the NBA, I heard that they caught 12 people, and they have a new head of the FBI. His name is, can't remember his name now, but he said, "Hey, this is the tip of the iceberg." That's what he said.
Is it Cash Patel?
Yep.
There you go.
And this is the tip of the iceberg, and it is.
Is it? Is it worse in college sports in America than it is the pro game? Because obviously the college kids aren't getting paid. Or weren't.
Oh no, the kids are getting paid now.
Now they are the last couple of years, but for decades they weren't allowed to accept gifts or whatever, or they weren't allowed to accept monetary gifts.
They were tough. They were still doing it, but most of they were doing it to do their best. You know, they would get a car, they would get this, they would get a bunch of stuff just as gifts. They wouldn't really get money, I don't think. But yeah, it's always been there, but now it's gotten out of hand, which is affecting the game.
You know what was funny is like looking at, I think the highest paid public sector jobs, and I remember seeing a map of this, and it was per state, and so many of the states, like the highest paid public sector job or whatever it might be, you know, not like a private sector thing, where you can, you know, make whatever you want, were like coaches for college teams, which I thought was amazing fact. Like just how much money there is in college sports and how little of it the kids saw of it.
Well, the college, say a kid gets a college scholarship to play football, say at the University of Alabama. Let's say that. Well, before he was held to just the University of Alabama. He couldn't go to another university unless he sat out a year. Then he would go the next year. But that's a big deal. But now with the NIL, from what his name, image, likeness, he's getting paid for all that. They have guys in college, I've read, making $4 million or more a year. And he's going to make more playing college ball on an NIL contract than he will by turning pro. Because in turning pro, they have a limit on the first year that you can be paid. I think it's $800,000 for the first year. I may be wrong on that. I don't know. But hey, if you can make $4 million, and hell, you wouldn't want to turn pro. But anyway, that's changed the game, and I think it hasn't helped the game. I don't think. I really don't.
Did you ever, going back on the betting scandals and everything, were you ever someone who used to have a flutter, as we say, put a bit of money on a game to spice it up? Were you ever a gambler?
Well, I have bet on football games. Yeah, hadn't won many.
Did you bet on Clemson? Is that why?
You can get off Clemson right now because they're having a hard year.
You were saying that they were going to make it to the finals, man. What happened?
They can't even buy a ticket to the finals. They started out, the rated, you know, a little football talk here, folks. They started out rated number 4 in the country, number 4 out of, say, 25 teams. Now they're not in the top 75. Believe me. And a bunch of teams this year have fired their head coaches. Penn State was another one. They're having a bad year, and they were ranked like number 2 or 3. They fired their coach, and a lot of coaches have gotten. Auburn fired their coach. Florida fired their coach. I'm waiting for Clemson to fire Dabo Swinney. But the only thing, you know why they won't fire him? If they fire him, they got to pay him $60 million. They got to pay him the rest of his contract. And I'm thinking, who in the hell would sign a contract, a college, that would obligate them to pay the guy if they fired him with a bad season?
Tony Khan. That's Tony Khan level of economics, that.
Tony Khan has jumped to the NCAA. He's the head of it. Said, hey, we'll pay him anyway. Just let him go.
Yeah, I love that. Suspend this guy and pay him the full amount.
No, I never was a gambler. Never was.
We've got a couple more things, so I'm going to shut down the show.
But it's not gambling, it's cheating. Hey, if you was a main player on a team and I say, hey, if I give you $10,000, would you kind of hold back a little bit? Would you hold back if I paid you $10,000?
Hey, look, if I was like a starving kid in the first year, and it depends how they asked, because there's always the, hey, well, it's a nice place you've got here. Shame if anything happened to it, kind of thing.
How would you ask?
Say, Dutch, I've got $10,000.
I'm the starting center. I'm 7'1". Okay, and you come to me and you want me to hold back. How would you do it?
I'd say, Dutch, I've got a booking in Dothan, Alabama. It's $350 cash in hand. Will you do it?
I say, can I get a little more? And you say, okay, 360. I'll buy you a sandwich on the way down.
Oh, complimentary hot dog and a handshake as well.
Yeah.
Think of the value.
Well, a lot of people make fun of that, but that's what they're worth. Because they're not going to draw any money. They're there really for it's actually another tryout session, a workout session with some people watching.